My phone literally, without warning, just crashed. That's strike one, phone. You get to 3, out the window you go. Where was I? Tioga Sunshine, as I said, raced great. Peanut got stretched out and raced great the other day. He's back in now. The only thing I hate is racing against other stable horses. He's in with Adrenaline Rush. I'd rather like to avoid that happening again, but a good class for both those horses. I don't think Adrenaline Rush really wants any part of the 4-year-old in Peanut, but we'll see. We'll see this week. Tipsy and Dixie was fantastic, 55-3, and it was only, to be honest, looking at her trajectory as a 2-year-old now into a 3-year-old season, I'm as excited as I am about Tipsy and Dixie. I'm even more excited about Taiwan On. My God Almighty, what a strong qualifier to that filly. She looked incredible. And Blue Monk raced great the other night. Find a class for him. Pat, one of our clients, made a good point. She said, Anthony, Source fits the 15 claimer, numbers a 10. I understand that, Pat, but they don't write it. It's not filling. So he's ended up tonight in the 15, a short field, 15 claimer, numbers are like 70. He can win that until he's 19 at the rate he's going. I'm happy the horse is in a class that he's competitive in, but for the love of God, you don't have to move him up 5 classes. Now, this is a race secretary. I understand that without his entry, they couldn't fill that class, and it's important it fills. But where are the horses at for the condition claimers? My goodness. Anyway, Blue Monk with a good second last week, and then No Free Lunch was simply awesome. Very, very good for Harry. Jogged in 52-1 for James. James even said, you know, I think he let up at the wire, but man, he was really, really strong. 52-1, a great mile from him. We talked about Carmen getting 2 of our horses. War We Welcome was always heading back there. Johnny said, when he sent her over here, he said, no, when you send her back, you know, send her to Carmen or somebody. There's no need her coming back here, especially after she went in 56. So Carmen loves the filly. The only thing I don't like about her, I don't trust her. I think she's a shallow filly with a very weak demeanor and a very beautiful gait and a big engine. She just refuses to use it the way that God meant her to do so. She would be an exceptionally gifted trotting filly if she just put out full time. Now, Carmen believes she's a very good horse. I said, listen, I watched her race great when she switched barns into Jason's barn in the maiden here, switched into Tim's barn and raced great. But let's talk after 2 or 3, 4 starts when she's used to your operation. Then you can tell me how good she is. But I don't trust her. I think she's just a very good horse. I'm glad she's racing good, and I would love her to trot in 54 every week. We'd have a very good filly. Prove it to me. Show me some consistency from a horse that has been grossly inconsistent for us. And Brilliant Corners was absolutely great. I wasn't surprised. I think he was due for a shake-up. This is a horse that we've been coddling for a long time, since he was a baby. And I had spoke to Harry, and Harry knew it also. I had sent you guys a video talking about the entire situation, how everybody really, Harry Poulton should be commended for moving this horse out of his barn, saying, hey, maybe a fresh set of eyes, maybe give this guy a little shake-up is what he needs. And he definitely looked good the other night, 51-4. The speed isn't that shocking. I loved this horse when I sat behind him in February. I don't care how fast he wins. Nothing speed-wise will shock me about him. I just want to see him be a better horse. And I believe, as Carmen said, he goes, listen, it's simple. Put him back in there, he's claimed. You'll jog, he's claimed. 26 with the HST, plus 5 last week, 5 this week. You're getting back near 40 grand. He said, but I don't think you should put him back in the claimer. I said, Carmen, you don't have to ask me where to put War We Welcome or where to put Brilliant Corners. You're training them, you put them where you want. I certainly don't have to tell Carmen Osiello how to win races. So you put them where you want. Very, very happy with those horses. Then, now we've got to the most impressive part of all. Nope, not yet. Tim's barn was great this week. Bomb Hugger. You know what I loved about Bomb Hugger? Just bounced from this barn over to Pennsylvania. Just complete professional. Leaving the gate, I wanted to get a couple of guys out of the way in behind me. Wanted to let the 2 outside horses run the front end. Was never in a rush. At no point in my mind did I even think there was a remote possibility she could even get beat. No matter how bad I drove her, she couldn't get beat. And she did. I just slid her out second hour. It looked slick. But really what had happened was I didn't move the 2-5 favorite when the front end was looking to collapse. That's the reality of the situation. But it wasn't that I was daft and didn't understand what was taking place. Quite the opposite. I didn't care if that horse cleared to the front. I got pinned in. I had to fish my way out. It just didn't seem to me that any of the horses that were surrounding me could beat me. And that was what it was with Bomb Hugger. She was absolutely incredibly good. What I love so much about her, and then we'll talk about the other filly in a minute, was their professionalism. How those training sets throughout the winter paid off. How they looked like 4-year-olds. These are horses' first ever pari-mutuel lifetime start. And to move the way they did and behave the way they did, it really is. And I'm taking no, you know, I don't want to take the accolades for it. The way we train as a group, as the stable.ca, the way we train the babies, that's a feather in our cap to see horses like that go out and win. Just truly, truly incredible from a horseman standpoint to see that. So, Bomb Hugger was awesome. Mama Knows Best, the recall really drained some of her energy. She raced fantastic. We're going to have a lot of fun with Mama Knows Best. Second in 56. I thought White Tiger mechanically was one of his best races. Somebody said, well, you just didn't have him in a position to win. Thank you, Captain Obvious. I'm aware I didn't have him in a position to win. He's not an easy horse to put in a position to win. Second over, he squanders it. Sitting in, he might make a break. I drove him the way he felt he wanted to be driven. He usually races very well when you do that. The front end just didn't come back to us the way I thought it would. Compass Rose DC, an absolute disgusting drive by me. Horrible drive, and she raced awesome. Just got beat at the wire. I just take her back leaving, follow cover. I'm in the winner's circle. Instead, I found a way to screw it up. She finished second and raced absolutely incredible. Won My Heart Hanover. Yes, the hobbles are going on. Won My Heart Hanover. It's not the end of the world. I suspect you're going to see her race her entire 4-year-old year without them. But for now, the training wheels go back on our girl. Rose Above It, little tiny bit flat. They scoped him yesterday. Found some mucus in there. Didn't see any blood. A little bit of mucus in there. A little bit of pimples. We're going to work on that and treat him up. Put him in to go next week also. Hope's Reprise will be in there next week also. So Tim's barn is great, but man, oh man. I just started writing the things that I was interested in Jason's barn. I ran out of room. Slim Jimmy really put me in a tough position, you little bugger, this week. Qualifying so good, it made me go out and train Voyage of Ice and Fire in 58. Now, I was looking for 57 in a piece. It was a little windy. It was 8 o'clock in the morning. He was by himself. A good mile from Voyage. I think a mile we can build on. But as I said to one of our clients, obviously one of our Slim Jimmy clients, he said, well, is there any way he can go instead? I just simply don't see enough to take the Voyage of Ice and Fire entry away from him and give it to another horse. There's just not enough conclusive evidence there to say this horse is better. This Slim Jimmy might be by far the best horse we have come the end of the year. I don't know. But what I do know is what I saw this week was 2 very impressive colts, and it's very different from the filly situation. The filly that was paid into the event, Isa 10, is not going, so that ticket, so to speak, is up for grabs, right? I chose Of Tom, just an abundance of what she did, how she did it, and how I felt going into next week's race. Voyage of Ice and Fire was a horse we paid into it. So it's all something totally different to take that entry away from a horse that is trained down so great to give it to a horse that qualified really nice. There's just not enough there to take it away. So the 2 horses going will be Of Tom and Voyage of Ice and Fire. Slim Jimmy, as I said, qualified fantastic. I'm a Lovely Lady was incredible. Duke Dio qualified great. Garden State Dio I brought over here. Trained her in 58-4 yesterday by herself. Grace raced good. Now I have her in Jason's list. That was a screw up, right? Amy's here with me. Now Amy was down as trainer because she loved the filly and always went with her. But Amy wasn't supposed to be down as trainer at Mohawk. She's not there. She doesn't take care of her. She's in Jason's barn. That was my fault. When we had entered that filly, on the list it still said trainer Amy McDonald. And I said, oh, James will drive her. James McDonald. Now, Jason enters all the horses over here. He has the American program, but for the Canadians, because we weren't racing that many horses, I was just entering them. Now it switched over to Jason, but he didn't have Grace on his list. So there was just a little bit of a transitional screw-up. So next week, Jason will be down as trainer on Grace. She raced great. James told me, so you're lucky. I said this the other day. Somebody did get that quarter of Grace that I was looking for to partner up with. And James said, yeah, that was a fair price, I think. Maybe a little low, but a fair price. Then she went out and qualified great. He goes, oh my God, I hope you didn't sell those shares. I said, yeah, of course I did. They're already sold. So, but that's fair. I don't want to hoard the shares. We got a week before she trotted in 57. It looked like she was worth what we have her on the site for. I sold a quarter of her. It's the way it is, and I don't want to be a pig about it. Sure I did. Then the breeder messaged me, said, hey, I know we were going to work something out through the year where you gave me some compensation. They didn't want the filly anymore. Her sister and her, they dropped her off at the barn and said, listen, train her down, sell some shares, do what you think. Maybe, you know, we'll square up at some point. We never thought that Grace would turn into a 57, 27-3 trotting filly. So I wanted to get it squared away quickly. I didn't want it to get out of hand, so I had contacted the breeder. Horse race great. What do you want to do with this filly? They messaged me back, said, is there any way we can maybe, I know you said you had 50 some shares, 52 shares. Could we get 25 of them? 24 of them? So I think they ended up with 24 shares. I had given back to the breeder. So Grace, race fantastic. James thinks she's a gold filly. All right. I'm not going to argue with James. Go ahead. Show me. She was incredible. Amor Dieter landed here, and his blood was a little screwed up. His GGT was high. I thought he trained terrible. We didn't even put him into qualifying. I went out and trained him just to see how he'd be. I went first trip. I said, this horse doesn't feel like his liver's bothering him. It was. Blood doesn't lie. And I went out and trained him last trip. 59 last half and 58, and he was incredible. I think he's going to give them all they want on Monday at Northfield. He was really, really good. Purple Aura, talking about fantastic fillies. Purple Aura was incredible. That was a tough decision. I really had to take a deep breath, have everybody get away from me, and write down pros and cons for each filly. Try and take my personal feelings out of it, because you know I love Of Tom, but I wanted to take my personal...
I do too.
I know you do. I want to take my personal feelings out of it and decide who should be representing us next week. Really what it came down to was the simple fact that Of Tom won convincingly and looked good, did everything right, and Purple Aura is just an extremely powerful filly that pushed through, touching her knee, touching her jack, touching up on the hobbles. There needs to be some adjustments there. Power-wise, sheer power-wise, I'd almost have to give the nod to Purple Aura. But it isn't just about power. It's about the whole package. And Of Tom does have everything checked when it comes to the whole package. So Of Tom will be the horse going to the next generation. In, Amy, come in. Well, you need to find it. So what it really boils down to is who is the best entrant, who's our best shot at that. And when it came down to it, it was Of Tom.
I think entrant is a word.
Entrant is a word, actually, if you want to look it up. Want to play a little Scrabble?
Entrant?
Yes. So, when I look at what took place this week, I get a whole page of horses that either won or raced great or will race great very, very soon. Man, oh man. Even a horse like Spend That Money, you know, she'd have raced bad the other day. I would have sold her. I said to Travis, just go and hang her up the way you think I would. And that was a great thing about having Travis over here for almost a month or more, is that he got to see how we do business in the barn, how we hang our horses up. Spend That Money's been with us her whole life. So the way we hang them up is important. Not to say that she wasn't getting hung up that way, but I think that maybe James had given her a little much hobble, a little too much hobble in the qualifier, and she run. And I think they're struggling with exactly, Cindy isn't going to warm the horse up in the race bike. I needed the horse warmed up in a race bike and say, okay, this is where the hobbles need to be in this particular race bike. And I appreciate it because, truthfully speaking, if somebody else had driven Spend That Money and she went out and made a break, I just would have sold her. How could I keep her? Coming off a poor qualifier, a mediocre qualifier before that, and a break would have been very difficult to do that. So thank you very much, Travis, with her. And what about, I'm forgetting a big horse that raced great. Path of Totality was unbelievably good the other night. Watch the race. I only let her coast up into fifth gear down the backstretch. Held her together. She was a little rocky. Held her together in the last turn. She went to take off coming out of the turn. I just wrapped her up 56-2. This horse has got a big engine in her. I just can't. I want to see her get consistent. We're always going to lean back on her knees and say her knees bother her. Her knees are a problem. So hopefully if we can keep her knees good, this is a filly that could take a mare that could take a big lifetime mark and put some money on the board in a big hurry. I think this is one of our stronger for her. I'm not going to say strongest. Obviously, we got Globetrotting, and you know she's. I think she's faster than Compass Rose DC, and she trotted in 54 the other day. But Compass Rose DC's got that easygoing demeanor to her where you can put her in places that you simply just can't put Path of Totality. So she might give up a little bit on the speed side, but more than makes up for it in race track intelligence. So that's where we're at with Path. Just a huge week. I'm looking numbers. Horses just keep jumping off the page that race good, and we had some bad luck with some horses. Procrastinator wasn't awesome. you know, Confederate Cruiser made a break. But at the same time, man, oh man, that was some kind of week we just had. So, very, very impressed with... where's Mommy's phone?
I put it on your shelf.
Ah, so it's on your shelf. Hurry back now.
Oh my God.
So it's been a fantastic week of training, of racing. We got stake season coming up, and it looks like all the torpedoes are in the tubes. It just looks like we're going to have a good summer. And obviously, you never know until you get to the track, but, you know, looking at Bomb Hugger, Of Tom, Purple Laura, Slim Jimmy, Voyage of Ice and Fire, these are just trotters that we just roll off your tongue. They've been great. Look at Ontario, Grace 57. Unexpected, right? No free lunch. Even Brilliant Corners. Or We Welcome. Horses that we didn't have high expectations for that are really starting to punch through. It looks great. Now, I know I had one of our clients already start messaging me. We had two breeders call me and ask me if I would take yearlings this fall, and we will. We'll work it out with them. But I do want to change things up this fall also, and I think this is an important part. For those of you out there, I'm going to touch on this a few times over the next couple of weeks. What's the best way to procure our Ohio horses? I know it's great that Slim Jimmy came around and that Prairie Fire came around, but me personally, I had to carry those shares all throughout the winter. You guys remember back, Slim Jimmy had like 60, 70 shares all the way into May, right? I can't continue to cobble together the stable. So I don't mind doing it a little bit, but for the overall, you know, for Ohio especially, a state that we know we're going to be strong in, a state that we know we're going to have luck in, what's best for us? Oh, your phone, it was right there the whole time, honey. So, for a state that we're going to have, that's going to play a major role in the stable for hopefully years to come in a number of different ways, what's best for us to put it together? And I thought there's got to be a way to put money together for our group heading into the sale, right? I don't ever like to put pressure on you, our clients, but at the same time, I need a better way to purchase Ohio breds effectively and conservatively and with some sort of confidence heading into the 2022 and beyond season. And I was looking for input from you. One of our clients I was speaking to the other night said, Anthony, why don't you just, I know the groups are rough and you can't sell the shares right now. That'll get fixed. You need to fix that. He said, but why don't you put a pool of money together where that group buys 50% minimum of every Ohio bred that you buy? Because most of them turned out, the ones that we didn't want, we ended up selling, right? If any of those came up. But geez, you look at the horses we got here. I can almost guarantee you we have 5, 6 sire stake horses. The rest of them should be competent in the Buckeye, and if they're not, we have the fair circuit to race in. So what is the best way to put it together? I would like to. It would be great if I said, okay, we're going to put a pool of money together. The money you put in is directly relative of the shares that you possess in that group. It could be an easy way to do it. But I am going to try and figure something out before the Ohio sale comes around. Ohio is our biggest stomping ground. Ontario is obviously, we're always trying to keep our foot in the door and do well in Ontario, but we haven't done as well anywhere as we have in Ohio. And I hope that trend continues. But to do that, we have to be realistic that we can't always continue to buy $8,000 and $10,000 and $13,000 horses and turn them out. We still will try. We have to be realistic about what we're purchasing moving forward and how we do it. So, I'm all ears. Let me know what you think. I believe putting together a pool of money would be the easiest way to do it. I think by now I've at least proven my worth in picking out horses that are affordable, that do well, that show and have some talent. So I would hope everybody trusts me in that regard. So moving forward, which is the best way to do it? How would you like to do it? How would you like to set it up? How would you like to be a part of Ohio 2021 as we start 2022? As we start Ohio 2021, which what looks like it's going to be a good summer. How does 2022 look for us? How should it look? How could it look? What would you do? So that is my question to you this week. The end of our opening statement. We have had a great week. We should all keep the smiles on our faces and be happy. But how do we keep those smiles there? How do we stay happy? And how do we make not just this year, but next year the best year it can be for the stable? So that's my question to you. That is my request. Drop me a line. Tell me what you think. I would love to hear from you. So I'll be back both today and tomorrow probably. We have a lot to talk about. A lot to talk about. I'll be back at some point soon.